Okay, in the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and another 7 oceans to add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God. For he is the exalted, all-powerful, all-wise. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. This is Brother Shareef once again with the Hour of Power. Please go to my new YouTube channel called the Hour of Power, Shareef Hamid. Subscribe and share. Subscribe and share so we can continue to lift the mind, bodies, and souls of our people. So today we are in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, right by UNC's campus. I have 2 special guests with me this evening. If you could introduce yourself, brother and sister.
Greetings, I'm Yah-I to far right, Amen.
And I'm Ma'at and Makaru, Amen.
Yes. So we're going to really give you some good information and some good advice to, again, lift your mind, body, and soul. I'm so thankful to have these 2 wonderful human beings with me. And before we get started, I want to tell you, brother, that you and your wife inspired me and helped me to live better. You probably don't remember, we, brother Simran with the New Community Center, it was a couple years ago, and he had told me, because I helped him plan events, and it might have been Garvey Day or African Liberation Day, and I was helping him plan, and I said, is any food going to be there? And he said, yeah, brother is going to have a food truck outside, so he'll be vending. And you have your truck outside, but me and my older way of thinking, I'm like, all right, get me a burger and fries, it's gonna be on. You know what I mean? So I get there, and I'm hungry, and I saw you out there, but I didn't really, see what you had, because you had the truck, and and so I get out there, and I see kale and salad and all that. I never even had kale before. I'm from up north before. I heard of it, but I'm like, you eat no kale, I'm from up north. And I'll never forget, you was like, yeah, this is what we have, brother, but to give you that feeling like maybe you're eating meat, I'm going to put some taco on it. And I was like, all right, man. I mean, but it was hot that day. I was like, I guess I'll, give it a chance, you know what I mean? That's what I did, and it was good. And from that point on, I started eating healthier. It was a process.
That's what's up. I remember that day vividly.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially saying, this will give you that feeling, and it didn't happen overnight now, but that was the start of where I am now. Now when I go to the doctor, because unfortunately I'm diabetic, when I go to the doctor, when I get my blood work is clear, and they're like, oh, well, what you doing? You know what I mean? And I know it's got to be that, because every time I used to go there, it was always something. Oh, your potassium is off, your cholesterol is off. But ever since that, so salute to you 2, for that. So on that note, can you tell us about your new venture with the restaurant here in Chapel Hill?
Well, we're very excited to be here. We went from food vending and catering to adding the food truck trailer vibe, to then adding the brick and mortar location. And so this is phase 2 of the brick and mortar location. We're operating out of the Blue Dogwood Market, which is at 306 West Franklin Street, at the corner of Mallet and Franklin. And we'll share the space with other vendors of different types, but all serving a specific purpose for the investors who put this space together. They really appreciate what we do with the food, with our niche being vegan, soy-free, and gluten-free. And then also targeting organic and non-GMO food, non-genetically modified organisms in the food. And there's so much that we can talk about with that. But one of the things that we love to do is give folks the opportunity and encourage folks the opportunity to look up the resources. Go to nutritionfacts.org. Go to Dr. Layla Africa's website. Go to Dr. Sabi's website and get a lot of valuable information. Ibaye, get a lot of valuable information from there. But that's our niche, and the investors of the Blue Dogwood market appreciate that niche that we bring to the market. So we're very excited about being close to campus. We're very excited about being close to the hospital.
No.
That's another big perk because there's a whole other energy at the hospital. And, you know, there's so much politics and what folks are allowed to eat. And I've constantly had people come to me to say, we really wish that y'all were set up at a hospital because those folks need your food the most.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here and we're excited. We have foot traffic. We have people who can drive to us. And this is just another phase of our growth and development.
Well, hopefully you'll keep people out of the hospital. You know, if they, you know, follow the direction that I went in. Like I said, I'm a witness bearer that it's made a huge difference, you know, in my health. Anything you want to add to that, sis?
No, I'm gonna get in where I fit in.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about it.
Uh-huh.
I'm over here looking like I'm shy and quiet, but it's not gonna happen.
In the interviews that I've done, you're actually the first sister that's been in the interview, so I'm very excited about that. I want it to be as broad as possible.
Let me add this though.
Mm-hmm.
Doing shows and events with my aunt's first book, What's in Your Womb, is part of how we got started because we would be somewhere vending, selling her book, but we also knew to bring our own food because part of making this thing effective where you're going to change how you eat is accepting that you have to roll with your own food sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So we would roll with our own food, but people would see us as at these different events and ask or anticipate or notice that we were eating and it wasn't what they were vending in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So at the point where we had a line of people at the table, not just for the book, but to see what food we had, and we weren't selling food at this point. We were just bringing our own food, but we started sharing a lot of what we would bring.
Mm-hmm.
That's really when Vegan Flavored Cafe stepped into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point it's like, well, it makes no sense to do this and not be able to provide the service for the masses. So the following hair show in Raleigh, that's when Vegan Flavored Cafe plunged into the marketplace of the Triangle area.
I definitely want to talk about your wife's book because that's very interesting. But can you two basically tell me how you came into this lifestyle, because it isn't just something you haphazardly do. Y'all consider it a lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Can you tell me how you came into this lifestyle, this healthy lifestyle?
Well, for me, see, he's looking at me because, you know, it's funny because he's the one who got me started. This was over 20 years ago. We had known each other. We met each other like 18 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
And
Here in
then
North Carolina?
no,
Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we met in Virginia, and then you know, we went off to college and, you know, went our separate ways or whatever. And then about 9 years later, he's back in New York, and I was in DC at the time. And it's funny, it's going to all kind of come together when we talk about our other venture. But we were both, I was ending my first marriage, and then he was ending a long-term relationship. And so we kind of hooked up again. I went up to New York and connected with him, and you know, he had changed. It's a little different, you know. He was 18, you know, and you know, I went in there, and you know, he was this Rastafarian, had these long locks. He was dressed in white, you know, looked like Jesus, you know. So, but he was vegan. You know, he was cosmic, you know, all of these things. So we reconnected at that time, and so he was telling me about. I didn't know. I never even heard the word vegan.
Wow.
You know.
So at that point, when you two reconnected, you just had what we call a typical American diet.
I did. Now, growing up, I grew up in this this kind of it was the church I grew up in was an offset of Seventh-day Adventists.
Okay.
So we kept the Jewish holy days and the way of eating. So I never had pork or you know, fish without scales, and so no catfish, no shrimp, no, you know, nothing like that. And you know, always wheat bread and brown sugar and stuff like that. So I already had that as a basis, but not eating meat and dairy, that was crazy to me.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so you know, anyway, so he introduced me to these things, and I was like, man, this guy, you know, he don't know what he's talking about. And so he would make meals for me.
Wow.
And I'd be like, dang, you know, you sure it's some meat in here somewhere. It has to be, because he used to make these the mushroom, the mushroom with the onions, and you remember, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
You supposed to.
I mean, I made a lot of stuff.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, so he's making these in the okara patties.
Yes.
Okay, so you remember those?
That I remember.
Yeah. So and I was hooked, because what happened is I started seeing the benefits of it.
Right.
You know, as a woman, one of the things that we're always complaining about was the menstrual cycle. It you know, got to the point where I didn't even know it was coming. Like, so, you know, a lot of times we have, you know, the premenstrual, we got attitude, you know, we bloated, we cramping. That ceased.
Now, how long did it take you once you started that new lifestyle and diet? How long? Because that I mean, I've never had a menstrual cycle, of course. I hope not. But I would imagine that's a significant change.
I'm gonna say, you know, that was a long time ago, but I'm gonna say it was less than a year.
Wow.
And less than a year, because when I go in, I go in. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I do it, that's it. You know, once I started eating, like, I started having more energy because I was tired all the time, and you know, falling asleep in meetings and stuff like that. So you know, I had more energy. And like I said, the most significant thing was that my menstrual cycle, I didn't even know when they were coming. I would be surprised. And before that, I used to know at least 2 weeks or a week was good, you know, but prior to when it was coming, because I was bloated, I was feeling, you know, all this stuff gone.
Wow.
And then the length of the cycle also decreased. And so I was like, shoot, I ain't changing. You got me.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of how I came into it. Yeah.
And Brother Yah-I, how about your transition? Or did your parents give this, or you?
I went through this transition where, as I learned, I shifted. I was in the same church, and so I didn't join that church though until I was a teenager. So when I was 17,
talking about Virginia or DC?
It's all over.
Yeah, it was all over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, different.
So I was in the church, but in New York.
Okay.
And I was in Chicago, and then we moved to Virginia. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I stopped eating pork when I was 17, and then I went to school in Atlanta, and I started working at a natural foods co-op there. And while there, I mean, I was there for 6 years, and so I learned so much during that time frame. As I learned about something, I started making shifts, I started exposing myself to things. And I'll say this for folks who are looking to change how they eat, I get it. It's not as easy when you don't have people around you, you don't have a certain level of support, you don't have an information portal. I had that. I was in it, I was around it, so I can just take food home every day and experience it. I had people coming through the lines talking to me. I had folks, I was on the radio when I was in Atlanta. So now we're talking about it on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing what you're doing now,
Mm-hmm.
and just dedicating shows to eating better.
Right.
So I had this benefit of being surrounded by it. So it was an easier process for me, but it was rooted in when I learned about it, I researched it, and I made the shift.
Okay.
And I just kept doing that. I wasn't striving to be vegan. I was just striving to be better.
Right.
Mhm.
And it just so happened that's where I landed, because as I removed everything, there I was.
Mm-hmm. And both of you said something key is having that surrounding. So both of you already had a foundation. It isn't like you had to start from scratch like a lot of us. Like, man, I gotta give up pork, I gotta give up this and that. Y'all already had a foundation, and some helping arms around you
Yeah.
to say, hey, this is. So that was an easy transition, because whether it's positive or negative, the people around you influence whatever your behavior is.
Yes,
A lot of
indeed.
I'm into substance abuse, and I work with people who have substance abuse issues. So people who are struggling with substance abuse, it is very critical who are around them. That could either get them on the right track or keep them in their addiction. So that's a foundation for what you were saying. But before we start talking about our sister's book, y'all had talked about the benefits. I have a friend who recently was in a lot of pain in his joints, very young guy, only in his mid to late 20s, and he had developed gout. And I've heard about gout, but I never really knew exactly what it was. So he developed gout in his joints, and his doctor said it was from him eating too much. He had an overload of sodium in his system from bacon and lunch meat. Can you briefly talk about the benefits of avoiding issues like that, and of course the diabetes, the hypertension, and all that?
Well, I'll tell you, one of my closest friends suffers from gout. And I feel like he received that diagnosis maybe in his early 30s.
Mm.
And what I'll say about it is, the first thing I learned about gout was it was this tremendous inflammation that you had to contend with, in addition to the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately, my mind was conditioned to, what do we need to do to address the inflammation?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the foods or beverages that you can consume to help prevent a flare-up? Just that mindset, I can't take for granted, because right now the mindset for the masses is, what product can I get off the shelf in the pharmacy to remove these symptoms? So, I don't recall if my brethren told me or if I told him about black cherry juice, to drink that on a regular basis to help keep gout at bay.
Wow.
But he did it, and it worked. So he made that a regular part of his routine.
Black cherry juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the 100%. It's not
Yeah.
mixed. No, don't get no ocean spray.
Right.
Or whatever.
Wow.
It's black. It doesn't. It's not sweet.
Yeah.
And it's very tart. And
Where would you get that from? Like a Whole Foods?
you know they have it at Kroger.
Oh,
They do.
okay.
They have
And
it.
you
at
saw with a natural food section usually.
Natural food section.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So that'll do it. And then there's a Japanese product called Ukon. It's a turmeric product, but it's infused with the Kangen water, the alkaline water, and it also has a bunch of essential oils. And we actually have a customer who, he came into the restaurant, and he could not wear his regular shoes. He had to wear, I guess people with gout, they had those special shoes.
Almost like an orthopedic shoe?
Yeah, it's like an orthopedic shoe. So he was wearing